I would like to welcome all of you to one of the last Diabetes Bytes connected with the Save the Feet and Keep Walking campaign. And today we are very fortunate to have our president, Dr. Vasanth Kumar Sir from Hyderabad, Dr. Brij, Makkar, who is the president-elect from Delhi, and we have the immediate past president, Dr. Banshi Saboo from Ahmedabad. We have Dr. AMIT GUPTA who is one of our EC members, and Dr. Purvi Chawla, who is the main architect of Diabetes Bytes. So this is one of the last Diabetes Bytes we are going to have on the Save the Feet and Keep Walking campaign. And I would like to start with Dr. Vasanth Kumar sir uh, about RSDA before we take up the campaign. So, what do you think is the vision of RSDI in the years to come for the public to improve diabetes care in India?
Uh, Thank you, Dr. Vijay. First of all, let me congratulate all of you for this great job done for the last more than a month. You have really achieved what we all wanted to do. It's because of the commitment of thousands of our members and good leadership by all of us who are here, whom I can see. And it's like one more feather in the cap of RSDI. All that we have been doing in the many years, of course, but we are doing differently in the last 2-3 years. Our colleague Dr. Bansi and Dr. Makkar, Dr. Sanjay are there, and of course our colleagues Purvi and Amit and so many of you. It's been wonderful. It's a feeling of sense of fulfillment. It's not that we have done something great, but what we have done is we have created awareness. We are going on creating awareness. And what is important, just to answer your question very briefly, Vijay, is that this should be, so once we create the awareness about the importance of taking care of the feet, both for the patients as well as to our doctors, we will continue to do this. And in between, we keep creating awareness to the people. Of course, this is one important aspect of the whole uh, um, diabetes care, but we are doing a lot more. We want to do many more things. As you know, in the celebrations, all of our colleagues spoke, and we spoke with the Niti Aayog members and all our seniors. And we are, in the coming times, we will never look back. We will continue to do what we are doing, and we will do more. And it is just possible because of all of you. I just want to congratulate and thank you, all of you, and give the mic back to you so that please go ahead with the rest of the team. I'm eagerly listening to all of you. Thank you.
Dr. Makkar, RSSD has taken up a lot of campaigns. This year it was the Save the Feet, Keep Walking campaign. So I think, do you think that, in your opinion, the RSSDI's campaign will be more and more focusing on complications, on diabetes in general in the years to come, especially when you are taking over as president? You are muted. You are
You are
muted.
muted. Yes.
Mhm. Am I
Is that?
audible now?
Yeah.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. So, Dr. Vijay, I think it is a very important and relevant question, but I'm sure we all agree that there is no single aspect of diabetes that is not important and that doesn't require, more education for public at large or even the physician community. So, diabetes is actually a disease which affects almost every single part of the body. And the irony is that more than 50% of the people don't even know that they have diabetes as of now in the country. So, first, part is that we have to start screening and start diagnosing them well in time to prevent complications. So even if we focus on complications, first part becomes early detection of diabetes and prevention of complications. So if we look at different aspects of diabetes, I think we need to have a very, very holistic approach for fighting with diabetes, starting from early screening, early diagnosis, providing the optimum treatment for most of the people in diabetes across the country, going as far as possible to the most peripheral uh, parts of the country where people are not getting adequate care, and at the same time trying to upgrade and enhance the knowledge of physicians, so that they can treat diabetes better, prevent complications, if complications arise treat complications, and also try to improve the infrastructure across the country so that if the physician wants to give better care, they are equipped to give that better care. So it has to be a very, very all inclusive approach, right from early diagnosis, early initiation of therapy, early achievement of control, early screening for complications, early detection of complications, and treatment of complications to the best of our capacity and capabilities. And that is what is going to ultimately be able to the the strategy to fight diabetes. That is what I think.
Thank you, Dr. Makkar. I think you told a very important point that we have to detect early and treat early. Dr. Banshi and Dr. Makkar just now said that nearly 50% of people do not know that they have diabetes in India. So last year's Defeat Diabetes was aimed at detecting the undetected diabetes. You had a motto, uh, treat, track and treat. So would you like to talk something about it, last year's campaign?
Yes, Vijay, first of all, thanks for giving me an opportunity. And thank you, Purvi, and thanks, Amit. First of all, I must congratulate you, Dr. Vijay. Under your leadership, this Save the Fit campaign had completed in 1 month more than 50,000 fit examination with Amit as the coordinator and under our leadership of Dr. Brij Makkar and Dr. Our President, and Purvi is doing a lot of social activity on this on our Facebook Live. So what I'm going to tell you about this 50% of those people who are not diagnosed, and against that we had created a defeat diabetes campaign. Our idea was that a diabetes is a disease which is to be detected early, and early and aggressive management is going to lead, or it is going to prevent the complication. On that, we had created a Defeat Diabetes campaign reaching out to 100 million people in 100 days. Now, in those 100 days, what we have done is we have tried to increase the awareness about that how diabetes can lead to multiple complications. And on that one day, we have done with a 1 million test, and the findings were very interesting. You will be surprised, and all those who are listening, particularly, because even ICMR in Government of India, they say that those who are above the age of 30, they should get normal their sugar checkup. American Diabetic Association at this point of time they recommend those who are above the age of 35 they should have a regular sugar checkup for their sugar is to be detected because it's a asymptomatic disease. We have put our paper that how many people were below the age of 30. 11,000 new detected diabetes who are below the age of 30, absolutely asymptomatic people. It means diabetes in our country in a younger population is also increasing. Even below the age of 25, out of those 1.2 million, it was 6,000 people were detected without any symptoms. They were not knowing about their sugar, and their sugar was random sugar was more than 200. I'm not talking of more than 150. So, how much importance is there with a diabetes detection campaign which we have done this year? Before 3 on 14th, as we are celebrating World Pre-Diabetes Day, it was decided by India only. It's not an international day. And for detecting pre-diabetes, you can't wait in your clinic that somebody will come with a pre-diabetes to your clinic and you have to see him and you have to prevent the diabetes. To detect those pre-diabetes, we have to reach out to the society, and to reach out to the society in the public area when we have to do all this camp and program. It is the only way by doing like such type of campaign defeat the diabetes campaign. sort of thing. So this is like has to become a movement. It is not a campaign. Like today we have done a Save the Fit campaign for 1 month and tried to do detecting, sugar. The fit are to be examined for 50,000 people. But our idea is that this campaign should become a movement. That each and every primary care physician should not miss a single opportunity to check the sugar who is above the age of any adult who is reaching to his clinic, or whenever he is doing any primary program, they should check the sugar. The similar way, any person who is coming to your clinic, he may be a primary care physician, he should not forget to examine the fit, and that should become a part of their regular examination. And that's what we have done here. At the same time, we also want the people to become so much so aware that if you are above the age of 18, the normal adult, if you don't have even high risk, still you should check your sugar regularly, that you are not becoming diabetes. But if you are high risk, then you should measure it more, and simultaneously you should know how your sugar can be prevented. I mean, how your diabetes can be prevented. Another way around, if you are a diabetes, make sure that when you go to the doctor, you ask directly, doctor, please examine my food also. Am I at higher risk of developing diabetic food problem? So that sort of awareness which we are creating in the society, and at the same time we also want to educate our colleagues, our physician friend, our primary care physician who are dealing with diabetes, who are treating diabetes across the country, that each and every patient food should be examined, and they should not forget the relatives, whoever who is coming to their clinic. No opportunity should be missed to check the sugar of those persons.
Thank you, Dr. Banshi Saboo, for a very important message that when you have a huge population of people with diabetes, the only way is to check for blood sugar for everybody, whether it is tooth removal or change of specs, whichever the condition. I think you have rightly hit the nail on the head by saying you should check the sugar level. Amit, you are one of the national coordinators for this campaign. So, what do you do to make people get involved? And can you tell us a little bit more about the campaign?
Thank you,
Save.
sir, for asking. Yes, thank you, sir, for asking that question. And I would like to tell a few things. This campaign had a international impact, a national impact. It had an impact on the membership, as well as it had the impact on the social impact, that is on the patients also. So if you look at the international impact, we are very grateful to Dr. Andrew Bolton, who is currently the president of the IDF. He inaugurated the program, and he also took the pain to come to the India to participate in the concluding part of this campaign, and where he talked about this campaign and talked about the importance of the foot care. So this is one thing is very clear, that you picked up a topic which is very, very neglected one, and it requires a lot of talking. So we started to talk about this topic. So this is one success of the event. Second thing is that as a national society, RSSDI took this initiative to talk about the foot care, and we were able to reach out to 10,000 doctors, including even known members, and we were able to sensitize them that it is important to examine the foot of the patient. It is, and the video which we created has been watched by thousands of the doctors. So now they are becoming more wiser, and they have understood that it is easy to examine the foot within 3 minutes, and there are simple techniques which can be utilized. We don't need complex tools, and it can be done with the help of a monofilament also. So this message which has been given to the medical community is again a very, very big success of the campaign. Second thing is that we are able to get the screening of 50,000 people. So we have almost touched the data, that is more than 1 lakh feet we have examined. And this is going to make us more wiser in planning our policies, in planning our future research, and this will help us in understanding the burden of the problem. This will also help us in designing the future research as well in the area of the foot care. So as you already decided that we are going to make one atlas out of it, and we have already more than 500 images of foot, which again is going to be a very, very useful tool for all the physician community or all the RSSDI members. So they will be using it more often. One of the most important thing is that, which I have learned from the Defeat Diabetes as well as the Save the Feet campaign, is that, sir, a campaign like this brings the membership together. There are many members which, when they start working on a campaign, or they are on a campaign mode, they understand other members in a better way. It also brings the center as well as the state chapters together, because we need to work more cohesively. We need to pass on the information. We need to build up the campaign. We need to talk very often. So this again opens up the possibilities of collaborations between the RSSDA central as well as the state. And this gives most of the members, as you know, some of them are very silent workers. So they get an opportunity to work and showcase their work, and everybody can be involved in a similar way. So there is no bias. Anybody who is willing to work can come forward and work, and that is how this campaign actually builds up. Third thing is that last thing is that we are through the diabetes Bytes and by the creating awareness in the public. Now the people are also getting this thing that getting this understand that it is important to examine the food. So I think there are multiple campaign have impact on the multiple levels, and nobody is left unaffected. And I suggested, sir, we can very well have a questionnaire also to assess the impact of this activity on the perception of physicians, that how it is going to change their clinical practice as well as the behavior after actively involved in this 1 month of campaign. So this is what I wanted to say. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking.
Thank you, Amit. I think, as you said, it made a big impact, not only nationally but internationally. That's the important point. I would like to say that many states, almost every state, came up with either registering or examining the field. And we had Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, West Bengal, Karnataka, Kerala, Goa, Himachal Pradesh. So many people, so many state chapters, so many doctors examining. I would like to particularly thank on this occasion my state, Tamil Nadu, for screening 20,000 patients. And I would like to congratulate the secretary and the chairman of Tamil Nadu State Chapter for rising to the occasion and uh, registering about 20,000 patients. So I just wanted to
And
take
second highest is from UP, from Amit Gupta's states. I mean, both the coordinators have done the wonderful job.
Dr. Makkar, I wanted to ask, you said 50% of the patients are undiagnosed. Now, undiagnosed diabetes can lead to complications. About 30% have heart failure, about 12.2% have microalbuminuria, about 10% have retinopathy. So I think, uh, would you like to say that we should screen for complications even before diabetes comes, or you should? How would you like to emphasize about the diagnosis of pre-diabetes in India?
So, Vijay, the question is very important, very relevant. But the issue is, if we don't know that a person has diabetes, how can we start screening for complications? First thing is, we have to know this particular person has got diabetes. Now, as Amit mentioned, as Dr. Banshi also mentioned, that this year the IDF has given the motto of pre-diabetes, or the agenda of pre-diabetes to be highlighted on the World Diabetes Day. And I think it is very important because if we look at the population in India, the numbers of people with pre-diabetes is even more than the people with diabetes. And all these people are actually at higher risk of developing complications similar to what they develop diabetes. Second thing, more than 50% are likely to go on to develop diabetes and down the line all kinds of complications as compared to the people who are not having pre-diabetes. So, as we are looking at early diagnosis of diabetes, you know, uh, same is the strategy that we should apply for early detection of pre-diabetes. Now, problem with both type 2 diabetes and pre-diabetes is that they do not cause any symptoms or signs. So people having diabetes, type 2 diabetes especially, as Dr. Bansi just mentioned, that so many of the people, younger people, were diagnosed to have diabetes without any signs, any symptoms of diabetes. So similarly, pre-diabetes is also totally without symptoms. But we know that there are certain, segments, certain groups of people or the populations who are at higher risk of developing pre-diabetes and diabetes. So there we can institute early screening or maybe opportunistic screening, which is that whenever these people are visiting a healthcare facility for whatever reason, maybe they are going for a fever or a sore throat or gastric upset, they are subjected to a simple blood sugar test, and that can help in diagnosing these people in the asymptomatic state. If we are able to diagnose them early in the course of disease when they are asymptomatic, we are unlikely to lose more time in the bad metabolic state for these patients, which is leading to ultimately development of complications. Why we get more complications is because the average time from the onset of diabetes to diagnosis of diabetes in India is calculated to be anything around 3 to 7 years in many patients. And if somebody is having disease for 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, it is likely that risk of the damage is already happening at slow pace inside the body, and it is going to predispose them to complication. If we are able to screen them in time with different campaigns like we did, defeat diabetes campaign, we screened 100 million, we messaged 100 million people, we educated 100 million people in 100 days, then we screened 1 million people in 1 day, and tried to diagnose. So if that kind of awareness is going on, I am sure people will start looking for their sugar levels at early stages. And if they are diagnosed early, we can certainly look at prevention of not only complications but prevention of diabetes also. And if we can prevent diabetes, we all know type 2 diabetes is called as mother of all important diseases of adult life. It is not just the diabetes specific complications you are getting, you are at increased risk of heart disease, strokes, blood pressure, cholesterol abnormalities, joint problems, lung disorders, sleep apnea, even so many cancers are increased in people with diabetes. So I think we have to go all out and intensify our fight in terms of increasing awareness and also working out different measures by which we can screen these people early in the course of disease and detect them early in the course of disease.
Thank you, Dr. Makkar. I think you touched upon a very important point that is early detection of diabetes.
Yeah.
Detect diabetes at any cost, because by the time you are a diabetic, you have missed the bus and several complications have already set in. So I think the main message which Dr. Makkar said was detect early, diagnose early. The diabetes has to be detected early, and even during the stage of pre-diabetes, you can get multiple complications.
And
Dr.
also
Purvi,
keep in mind, just one more point, also keep in mind that once you have diagnosed diabetes, most of the people think that, doc, do I need to undergo so many tests when I'm diagnosed diabetes? You have to treat my sugar. Why do I need so many tests? So I think that education also has to go down the line that possibly your diabetes has been there for a while. And I tell my patients, it is a disease which is similar to termites. If you see the termite infestation in wood, you will never see it on the surface. It is inside, the termite is eating the wood. Surface is clean. And by the time you start seeing it at the surface, the inside of the wood is already rotten. So same way, if your sugars are high, you are not going to see it on the surface till you have already got significant damage. So it is very important that the minute you diagnose diabetes, especially type 2 diabetes, you have to screen them for complications, all of them. It is not that we are just talking about diabetes and forgetting about rest of the things. So first is early screening for diabetes, early diagnosis of diabetes, and once you diagnose, early screening for complications. All have to go hand in hand.
yeah, very true. Many patients say, when you talk about eye examination, they say that their spectacles were checked only last week. They don't talk about the retina.
Yeah.
And then you have to tell them that it's not spectacles we are checking, but the retina. Dr. Purvi, I think you did a wonderful job in promoting this campaign by having several diabetes bites, which usually occurs only on Thursday. But you covered every language from Hindi, Marathi,
Yes.
Tamil, Malayalam. So, would you like to talk about your experience in doing it in multiple languages, Korea, and so on?
I did Punjabi also.
We did Gujarati too.
Yes, we started with Gujarati. So I first of all, I want to really thank the RSSDI core team for allowing the social media team to be an integral part of it, and how well they fused together and worked through the month is another story completely. So I think the scientific aspects of such campaigns have been really well impressed upon by Dr. Makkar sir, Dr. Banshi sir, and yourself also, and Amit also. Also, the public health aspect of it and the impact of it also has been talked about, and also the association dynamics. Because any such campaign, like Amit beautifully said, it brings the members together, brings the core team together. It just that machinery is all in place, and I think we have to hand it over to Dr. Banshi sir and Dr. Sanjay sir for initiating all that with defeat diabetes. I think it was for the first time that RSSDI was doing something like this. It was a huge success to begin with, but I think they put a lot of machinery in place. So this year, when you announced the Save the Feet and Keep Walking campaign, we had to step up and do something differently, and obviously. To leverage upon the power of social media and the outreach it has in India itself, and of course, even internationally. So we decided that the best way, because for a long time we also realized that probably our handles were in a slump despite having such amazing programs, such very very informative topics, and really cogent experts coming on and discussing in very simple language that people would understand. So, with such a wealth of knowledge available, yet we were, not sure if it's really reaching where it is intending to reach. So, I think with that, this time we thought of something different, and it really really helped us because it did hit the nail on the coffin. The use of regional vernacular languages and the cooperation that we saw, the support that we got from each of the state chapters, each of our core team members, each of our executive committee members, and even other physicians across the country, even if they were not part of RSSDI, was just spectacular. So everybody came together. We would share some questions. A lot of experts improvised on those questions, also made it even more meaningful for the local people. But the feedback we were receiving was really very fulfilling. We did a program almost every day of the week in a different language. It may not have been very long, just a half an hour program, but I think it helped and supported the campaign because the campaign was for the physicians to examine feet and enter that data. So it had two aspects, not just the public health aspect, but also a research component along with it. But our job was to get more patients also aware of it, so that when they visit the doctors, they were more more forthcoming and more ready for such exams as well. And that it's like it's a sweet relationship, because then the patient is also like, nahi doctor sahab aapne mere pair nahi dekhe hain. So we did for a month, and you all will be really happy to know that Diabetes Bytes, which had a view with in the last 4 weeks, our viewership has increased by 67%. So I think that's again kudos to the entire team, and great initiative started by Dr. Banshi sir and now taken forward by Dr. Vasanth sir as well. And I'm sure the future presidents and leadership is well aware that we need to work cohesively to take this forward even more. So yes, great, and thank you again for this opportunity. We will definitely be looking at more, closely working with you, because for us also internally it has been a great learning curve. So thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Purvi,
Thank you.
for, I think, think Diabetes Bytes and social media is a very strong way of connecting with the public. So if RSD has to connect with the public, I think the best media is the social media. Dr. Banshi Saboo, you heard about multiple languages, but I think one of the main problems in India is the multiple languages. We have Tamil, we have Oriya, we have Marathi, Punjabi. So if you move from one southern state to the other, people can't understand. If you move from Andhra to Tamil Nadu, you can't understand. So that's the diversity of our country. So do you think that RSDA has got any plans to uh, improvise this, bring in the state chapters and improve the state chapters and teach diabetes in the local language? Because if you talk in English to somebody in, say, in some state, they may not appreciate it. So
So Vijay, I mean that's the beauty of India that we have multiple languages and in diversity we all are united. Number one, and RSSDI is having multiple state chapter. The idea was this only that we can reach out to the doctors in every part, every corner of our country. So the RSSDI have three. One is research, the second is education, and third is to reach out to the layman. These three areas where we are working. For laymen, we are trying to increase the awareness about diabetes, diabetes complication, and how diabetes can be prevented. And what we are doing through this diabetes bites, with the thanks to this online platforms and all these which we are doing through, we are reaching out to many persons. Now, those who are following us regularly, naturally they are following us either on English or national language Hindi. Many of our lay persons they are following these two languages. We know the limitation of Hindi and English both in some parts of the country, and that's the reason these different state chapter, with the help of the state chapter, we started also working in the regional language. Now, not only national RSSDA or diabetes bites, which is run by Dr. Purvi and the social media team of national RSSDA, we also asked each state chapter that they can do their own program also in the local language. And that's what we have started doing. Other than this Save the Fit campaign, also in local Gujarat and Maharashtra and every language, we are also doing some local program which is related to diabetes awareness. So that's a one thing which we have started doing. Now, as far as education is concerned, when we are reaching out further down the line, which is up to district coordinator, we have educated them on a RSSDI national guideline. Now, our further plan is to reach out to taluka representative. Now we understand these taluka representative are primary care physicians, or some of them maybe even the non-MBBS doctor also, and where we have to use the local language along with English, because primarily our when we are teaching the subject, we know that some of the words are only in English, we can't. But other than that, to teach them, to educate them, even we can use the local language too. So I am sure with the help of these state chapters and with the local language which we are using on social media platform as well as on our somewhere scientifically also, we are trying to reach out to the rural most area, whether it is a person with diabetes, whether it's the caregiver, or whether it is a the physician or the doctor who is taking care of these persons. They all should know the language of RSSDA. They all should learn. And what our plan is, first is prevention of diabetes. Those who have diabetes, at least the prevention of complication, making our country a diabetes care capital of the world. We want to reach out to everyone who is having diabetes, early and aggressive management, so diabetes complication can be prevented. And such more the social campaign we will continue. In near future, you will see that few more campaigns we will continue. One last thing at this time in Save the Fit campaign, as Purvi was rightly saying, there are many physicians who are not the member of RSSDA, they taken the part. And I'm sure in coming months you will find all those who are not the member of RSSDA, they have taken the part in our this Save the Fit campaign. They all would like to become the member of RSSDA. So suddenly you will find our membership list, which is 10,000. You will find within short period of time when Makkar will be taking over as a president. He will be first announcement. His first announcement will say that now we have 15,000 members. That is what I am looking for.
So thank you, Dr. Banshi Saboo. I think you touched upon a very important point, that is involving the state chapters, because they know the pulse of the local people. So I think it's very important that we grow by growing the state chapters. So we solicit the support of all the state chapters, and not only in such campaign but in all our activities. We're coming to the last two questions. Dr. Amit, we have done this Save the Feet and Keep Walking campaign, but what is the outcome of this? What are you going to do with this data? You had huge data collected from 51,000, 52,000 patients. So what do you intend to do with?
Sir, we will try to understand the data so that we can identify the burden of the problem. We can identify that how many of our, from this sample size, we will try to understand that how many percentage of our patients actually had the loss of protective sensation. And this will guide us in designing some future projects in the programs. And this will help us in improving the foot care in India so that we can particularly focus on some areas.
And I think no data has been collected, to the best of my knowledge, in the whole world on 50 to 52,000 patients in 1 month. So I think this will be the first of its kind to collect so much of data and have some meaningful research data coming out of this campaign. So I think the Save the Feet and Keep Walking campaign has been really successful. We have done the step by step in preventing amputation 10 years ago. And nowadays we are doing the Train the Foot Trainer program. DFoot is doing the Train the Foot Trainer program. But this massive amount of training has not happened in any of these projects. The Save the Feet program, I'm sorry, the step by step started in Chennai, sorry, started in India, then went to Africa, then West Indies, Pakistan. But this sort of, we trained only 100 people in all these places. But in India, we trained only 100 people. And India was India, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. We trained only 100 people. But here it was 52,000 people who were trained. So I think this massive size of training has not happened anywhere in the world. So I think RSSDI, Dr. Amit Gupta, Dr. Sanjay Agarwal, RSSDI Secretariat, all have to be complimented for this massive campaign which happened. Dr. Makkar, the last question to you because we have come to the end of the program. I think so. You've given us a lot of solid messages. Detect diabetes early, detect complications early, and about pre-diabetes being the main one of the main campaigns of RSDA. So I think education is very very important. So I think RSDA has got a very important role to play in education. So especially the state chapter. So what initiatives would you like to take up in improving education, especially in the local languages?
Uh, Thank you, Vijay. I think again you touched upon a very, very important, aspect of fighting with diabetes. So let me tell you that I'm sure you are aware you are part of the RSSDAEC. So let me inform everyone that RSSDI in the last couple of years have done some very intense work on improving the educational front of RSSDI, both in terms of educating public, patients, caregivers, as well as educating the physicians. And in fact, in the last 1 year, and Dr. Sanjay Agarwal is not there. I think we must, congratulate him and appreciate his efforts that he has put in building up the educational platforms uh, on RSSDI. If you look at now RSSDI website, we have the sections both for uh, diabetes education for trainers, the physicians. We have dedicated educational modules which the physician members can go and go through those modules, learn about different aspects of diabetes. It is already there. Then at the same time, there are modules for patients, and now we have so much of patient education material which is available on the website, and it is available in multiple languages, local vernacular also. So these physicians can download patient education pamphlets or flyers or posters from the website and put them up in the regional languages in their practices, which again is a very important thing, how we educate people. Most of the people practicing in the primary care don't have time because they are overloaded with work. So it's simply putting some messages in their clinic which are read or understood by the local people in their own language is going to help them a great deal, because now once the person reads, oh, I can have this, or I am already having this complication, but I never talked to the doctor. So they are going to come forth and ask the doctor, look, doc, I am having this. I think you should look at this. So education is important at all the fronts, and RSSDI working, I think very aggressively on the educational front. And this diabetes bites or the social media again is one of the examples how we have been persistently using this over last more than 1 year uh, to educate people, physicians, and the reach is going far and wide. We are now connected to our district coordinators at all district levels, and now we are trying to reach even down the line to the taluka level in terms of creating awareness, screening, education, and so on. So I think education is going to be one of the major fortes of RSSDA work in the years to come.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Makkar. I think if education is taken as the mainstay of RSDA's mission, I think we will improve. And as Dr. Banshi Saboo said, we'll become the diabetes care capital of the world. Because education in India is different from education in many other countries. There's only one language, but here we speak multiple languages. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank RSDI, the EC, the President, Dr. Vasanth Kumar, the President-elect, Dr. Brij Mohan Makkar, the immediate past President, Dr. Banshi Saboo, the National Coordinator for this program, Dr. AMIT GUPTA, and the architect of our social media, Dr. Purvi Chawla, and the entire EC, and the entire Diabetic Foot Task Force for taking up this very important project, Save the Feet and Keep Walking. And we are very happy that it's one of the world's largest ever conducted campaign on the diabetic foot, on the foot, not diabetic foot, on the foot. And I think we will remain as number one for many more decades to come. So I would like to thank once again all of you for this wonderful campaign and for its success. It's a real success story of RSDA, and I'd like to thank once again all of you. So thank you, Dr. Purvi, and we end these diabetes bites.
Before we end, I think it's our job on behalf of RSSDI to put on record our appreciation and a big round of applause for Dr. Vijay Viswanathan and Dr. Amit Gupta for spearheading this fantastic campaign and the way it has been conducted. It is not an easy job. It is not as simple as just screening for blood sugar testing. You have to examine feet. You have to train the physicians to examine feet and report, what they are finding, and to generate data. So many things happened during this campaign. I think this was not only a very effective exercise in terms of improving awareness about diabetes complications, detecting complications early, but it was very important exercise in terms of training our physicians to look for those complications. So,
Great.
great job done, Vijay and Amit.
Thank you, Dr. Makkar. And I think, Dr. Purvi, you can conclude this.
I I continue to remain overwhelmed. I think Diabetes Bytes has been a great initiative, but I think it is you all who have taken it to a different level, and we are extremely grateful. And this the final episode today for Save the Feet and Keep Walking campaign. I must say we had a couple of international experts also in this campaign, roped in by yourself, Dr. Vishwanathan sir, and that added more impetus, more motivation for everybody down here to keep working hard. And to you for planning this episode also and having everybody together to give a very good update on not only the initiatives of RSSDI but the future roadmap as well. So big thank you to you, Dr. Vijay Viswanathan sir, Dr. Vasanth Kumar sir, Dr. Sanjay Agrawal unfortunately could not join in, Dr. Banshi sir and Dr. Brij Makkar sir and Dr. Amit Gupta for being here and sharing such pearls of wisdom on RSSDI Diabetes Bytes.
Thank you.
See you again
Thank
next
you.
week.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you. Thank you so much.